Hey guys, and welcome to Pheas Airsoft, where today I'm going to be unboxing this Jing Gong T3-K3 full-length G3. Hi guys, and welcome back. If you do enjoy this content today, please do like and subscribe because you're going to really help me out, especially the like button. That helps me get seen by YouTube algorithms. So I'm going to unbox this T3-K3 today, and if you are doing this sort of thing, please make sure you've been safe. Battery out, mags out, ammo out, eye protection on, that sort of thing. I am always safe, make sure you are too. So this is literally too big to fit on my table and under my camera. Camera's as high as it can go. So the box goes off for quite some distance over here and quite some distance over here. The gun is that big. So I'm going to rotate it slightly so we can maximise what we can see. So the box itself then is quite a nice box. You've got some nice pictures on there. JG generally do some nice quality boxes. So lift that up, get that out of the way. So we've got our information sheet from Gunfire, just general usage and stuff like that. Would have been nice to have a Taiwan gun style anime one, but never mind. We've then got our user manual in there as well with some, I want to say German looking guys on there, but I don't know if I can say that. You've got your magazine winding key as well. So quick flick through there. Just general safety. It does actually match the gun as well, which is nice, and some blown up diagrams as well, disassembly diagrams. That's all good. We'll get those out of the way. A little bit of packaging in there. And there she is, boom, check that out. Now she's one hell of a piece of kit and she's absolutely enormous. So we'll just pop that out and have a look. We've got in there our battery and our charger. So that's an 8.4 volt, 1100 milliamp NIM type battery, which will charge up for the shooting test. We've got the, HK slappable charging handle there. We've got a high cap mag, little bag of twos as well, and let's lift it out. The box is quite nice inside and it's very well, there we go. That is well snug in there. There's our cleaning rod. We'll get the box out of the way. So hopefully we can get nearly all of it on there. Now, that is a nice piece of kit. I do like a G3. I don't like playing with the full length ones just because they are too long for me, but I do like the collapsing stock versions just because I find them much more comfortable. And it just so happens I have one of those to unbox in a future video with a Riz front end. Now, we've got the olive furniture at the front. Now, the majority of this is plastic, and for it is quite light. You know, it's not SEMA 500 series light, but it is extremely light. So we've got a metal outer barrel and a metal muzzle brake at the front there. You've got your metal front sight and a metal charging handle, which you can HK slap, which is entirely satisfying. What I would say is I've had a MC51 JG before, and that is pot metal, and if you do it too many times, one time, that will literally whack forward and ping off into the abyss, and you'll never see it again. So just before one, it's an occasional HK slap, not a constant HK slap. So we've got a plastic body, which there's no creak in there, or very, very little. There's no movement. It feels really solid. I'm really impressed at how big and solid it is. Got your metal high cap, about 500 rounds. Got your selector. Your selector itself is metal, just to check it, doing it the cold lit test. Metal trigger, nice comfortable semi-shaped pistol grip as well. And then we're into a plastic stock, which adds some more length to it, again in this lovely OD colour. So it's quite a beast in itself. Excuse me. Now for me personally, I don't like to skirmish these. I've got quite long arms, but I just don't like the feel of how far my arm is away from my body, especially when I've got my webbing on as well. Adds an extra sort of, you know, whatever, up to an inch of depth, and it just suddenly feels like I'm too far away, and it is a very long weapon. Now this, to me, is sort of almost crying out to be made into a DMR. I'm not going to be doing that with this one, just purely because this isn't mine. It's going off to its new owner soon, but it's obviously something that would make a very good DMR. Now, these are relatively cheap as well. I got this one from Gunfire. So it cost me about £110 from Gunfire. This was ordered and delivered well before Brexit was completed, so when we were still in the EU. You can, well, it's out of stock, I believe, at the moment in time, but you can get it from Patrol Base in the UK. It's about £140, which is not unreasonable. You get a lot of gun, I'll be honest, for your money for that. It's a pretty nice piece of kit. You know, nice weight to it, not too heavy that you would regret carrying it around. In woodland, particularly if it's tight, dense woodland, you're possibly going to struggle wielding it. You probably want a little bit more open woodland. In urban CQB, if you are properly close quarters fighting, this is going to be a real burden on you, and you're going to want something smaller. But if you're looking for that long arm, you've found it. This is the one, and it's much easier to work on than an M14, which makes me so happy. It is just a version 2 gearbox inside. So, as part of my Discord group's request, they asked me to start doing a operate it with gloves section on my videos to show you how easy it is to operate the gun with gloves on, because people often wonder this retrospectively. So I've got my gloves on. Not my usual Oakley gloves because I can't actually find them at the minute. So I've ordered these specifically for this section. So they are quite thick gloves. They're XL size gloves. I've got quite big hands. So the gun itself, then the selector, quite easily adjust that with no issues whatsoever. The magazine goes in, comes out really nicely. In terms of winding the magazine, I can easily wind that. And if I had a winding key, that would also be easy to operate. Putting the winding key in there. Down there. So all the winding key does is, particularly if you've got plenty of time, you just chuck the winding key in the side there and you can just wind the mag up instead of using the wheel. Some people I've seen actually glue the winding key in the side of the mag so they can just sit and use that instead of the wheel, because we've all had high cap thumb at some point. In terms of reloading it, now this cannot be done by the looks of it, and unless I get really lucky and catch it on an edge somewhere. I'm looking for like an edge of the glove somewhere. I am just not getting my finger under that. No, I cannot reload the mag with my gloves on, so I would have to take at least a glove off to get that in there. In terms of the battery, with gloves, I can definitely get in there. I can definitely get hold of the connector, pull that out and change the battery, so I can do that with my gloves on. So I hope you've enjoyed that little section of the video. This concludes operating it with gloves. Oh, actually, I didn't check the hop. Let's check the hop now. Put that back on. So setting the hop then. So pull the charging handle back, which locks back really nicely to keep the hop exposed, which is good. I can quite easily not only adjust it, but know how much I'm adjusting it as well, which is good because I do like the large adjustment dials on the hops on G3s. They're quite easy. I'm going to be gentle on it now. I don't want to break this before it goes to its newer home. Nice and gentle with it. So now it concludes the operating it with gloves section of our video. Get that out of the way. Now in the stock then we've got the battery compartment, and we've got what I always think with JGs looks like quite thick chunky wiring. It looks good quality. I mean, sort of could be wrong. I've not looked into the actual cause of it. I'm struggling to get it out. You've got a big sort of old-fashioned style, there we go, older style fuse holder in there. One of the bigger style fuses, where seem to have moved to all those little style fuses now, and it is wired to mini Tamiya. Again, I would maybe like to see them start sort of using Deans, but it's not the all and end all. What I have noticed though is they have lined the stock with foam to keep the battery still. Now I quite like that. Now the foam is sort of like bulbed up like that on both sides to create a bit of a bump to secure the battery, and then opens back up again. So it's just going to sort of wedge it in place at the front there. I'm not gonna lie, I mean it's a cheap easy thing, but I quite like that. That works for me, that. So I've got the batteries to try. Let's get hold of the battery in the box. So there's the 8.4. We know that should instantly fit. It's a nice firm push, but it does definitely go in, and it's a firm pull out to get in there. The 7.4 is much thinner, you know, on its ends, goes straight in. Probably will rattle about in there. It's not a problem. The 11.1, I don't think that's going in there at all. Apologise for no, that's not going in. I can't even. If I took the padding out, I could get the 11.1 in by stacking the 3 cells up like that, and I could get it in there like that. The foam literally just blocks it because there's too much material in the way. But I could, in theory, if I remove the foam, get an 11.1 in that stock. So what we'll do now is we'll cut to the shooting footage of it for the rate of fire, the chrono and the range, and we'll come back and we'll see where that leaves us. Hey guys, and welcome back. So we've been and done the chrono, the rate of fire and everything. Let's see what that gave us. So in terms of the chrono then, I didn't have them downgrade it because either I was going to do it myself or the new owner would be doing it. A lot of people wanted to know what the out of the box FPS is. So this is doing between 374 FPS and 380 FPS. We did get one low ball in there. We got a 230 FPS shot in there, which was a little bit of a low ball. Could just be that it's bedding in, the grease is not cycled properly through the gearbox, but we did get that low ball. Everything else was sort of in that 374 to 380 FPS. So obviously for the UK, that's currently illegal as a full auto gun. If you DMR'd it and locked it to a single shot, then it's suddenly okay at that and not an issue. And that was with a hop off on a 0.2 gram BB. Now, in terms of rate of fire then, I would assume if we downgraded it, we'd possibly get a little bit better rate of fire out of it. But in its current state, as it is, on a 7.4 volt LiPo, so using the 7.4 that we've got about 12.8, nearly 13 rounds per second, which is actually slightly better than the SEMA seem to do on a 7.4. On the 8.4 then, we got about 13 and a half rounds per second, roughly thereabouts. Again, ever so slightly better than the 7.4. It's, you know, more almost in line with the 500, slightly better, if anything. And then on the 11.1, we got 21, just over 21 rounds per second. So it's obviously doing a little bit better than the 500 series from SEMA in terms of rate of fire. So possibly the motor's a little bit better. And I would expect if I lowered the FPS in there, put a weaker spring in, that would lift a little bit more. We might see sort of 13 rounds at 7.4, 14 at 8.4 and 22 at 11.1. But that's speculation, that, you know, I'm not guaranteeing that. In terms of range then, range I was punching out to about 50 meters quite easily. The reason it's in the pitch black is because it's hard to see on my usual shooting places where the BBs are going. So what I decided is shooting it at night with a tracer unit and tracer BBs would give you a much better indication of the sort of range it's getting. So I was getting at least 50 meters out of this, roughly measured. You know, 50 meters is absolutely brilliant. I wouldn't expect that to drop much, if anything at all, if you changed the FPS down to sort of UK limits of 350. I would expect it to stay more or less the same, because the hop rubber and the barrel seem to work pretty well together. But then I've generally always found that with JGs. I know a lot of people have issues with them and things like that, but I've always found, generally for me, JGs have performed really well for barrel and hop. Particularly in G3s, the motor's a little bit lacking, but that, you know, the proof's in the pudding. That's a little bit better results than a Syma would give. So £110, a little bit more expensive than the sort of Syma 500 series, but actually that's a lot of rifle. You know, it's a nice looking piece of kit. You've got a whole lot of gun. You've got some good range out of it as well. You've got a good rate of fire, 500 round metal high cap as well. You know, what's not to like, really? Even at the patrol base's price, it's a good option. And it's, you know, it looks lovely. It's nice to hold. It's nice to wield. It's going to cause you issues if you're in tight spaces, you know, trying to clear buildings or office blocks and things like that. So do think about that. This is not going to be something that you can just throw around in a tight corridor. This is definitely something you need a bit more open woodland in, or DMR it and sort of become that semi-automatic sniper. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you found it useful. Please do remember to like, comment and subscribe, especially the like button, because that really helps me out. And if you haven't joined my gaming channel, please do so, and my Discord. I would really appreciate that. All the links are down below in the description. I will leave the usual photos, and I will see you next time. Bye.